Uyo, uko, kuno, abo, pano. Mama wanna get it, mama wanna get it nice. I know food I miss, I know food I tell, I know kaya marigi. Kama kwetu tikom, kwetu tikom usasai. Kama gaya mari,
kamba kwe uyo, tara mari, gaya mari.
Right, for September 2022, and today I'm going to be going through the stunning change of fortunes of Chamisa CCC in Matabeleland, and this is something that ZANU-PF guys are going to be watching very, very closely, because it could easily become a disaster for ZANU-PF in 2023. And I'm not taking this lightly. If I was the ZANU-PF strategist, I would spend half of my time on this developing problem in Matabeleland. The reason is, and I'm going to keep this very, very short. I understand that it's a Sunday. The reason is that in 2018, there was a protest vote against Nelson Chamisa. So if you go through the results, you can clearly see that people in Matabeleland were protesting against Chamisa. He was getting very low numbers. In fact, my belief is that many people stayed at home rather than vote. And where people were voting, they were deliberately voting for President Mnangagwa because the margins were so big. Most of the areas where Chamisa lost, and here I'm talking about the presidential election, where Chamisa lost, he really lost very heavily. Most people did not want to vote for Dr. Khupe. They did not vote for her for obvious reasons, that they wanted to not split the vote. But if you look at the results for Matabeleland South, Matabeleland North, well, Matabeleland North is a MDC alliance stronghold. It was an MDC alliance stronghold. But if you look at Matabeleland South, you can clearly see that there was a protest vote there. And what has happened yesterday, last night, which is the victory of Nelson Chamisa's party, CCC, after months of campaigning by Dr. Khupe. Dr. Khupe started campaigning in June. So that was June, July, August, and now we're in September. She's been campaigning there, going house to house, and she got the result that she wanted. The CCC doing very, very well, turning over their fortunes, winning in wards that belong to ZANU-PF as councillors. And if you look at the candidates, you can clearly see that it's not the candidate who won there. The two Ephraim Moyos, and I think the other lady called Magadi, they are not really very, very strong candidates. The two of them are pensioners, I think, and the lady, I didn't even see her on any social media platforms. But the team from CCC, they did much, much better than the team from ZANU-PF. I want to show you something, and I know that the ZANU-PF guys would want to know why they lost this election. The reason why ZANU-PF lost is one, and I've said this in the past. If ZANU-PF fails to get people out, they're going to lose. If ZANU-PF fails to communicate at the level of social media meaning WhatsApp and all these platforms that are there in the raw areas, they're going to lose. So ZANU-PF failed on both accounts. So let's quickly look at what CCC did here. And I want to quickly go to gambako.com. If you go to gambako.com, you'll see these posters. So let's look at the posters that were put out by CCC. So firstly, you can see that CCC put a poster that is the name of the person, the date of the election, the campaign promises, They were there on the CCC poster, and there was the picture of Chamisa. And this poster, it's good, it's perfect. It explains what the guy is going to do. Same, Ephraim again, it shows you what he's going to do. Now look at the ZANU-PF poster. That's experience. Experience actually won. Look at the ZANU-PF poster. It's got nothing on it. It's saying hango inowakwa itungamigwa neve nevayo. Okay, nyika inowakwa neve nevayo. Right. That's a presidential statement. If it was me, I would put that for presidential. It lacks the promise of what exactly does the councillor do for you. What date is the election? So look at this poster from January. There's no date here. Let's look at experience. It doesn't have a date of the election. So if my people wanted to come out, they won't come out because they don't know the date. They know the candidate, but they don't know when the date of the actual election is. So the ZANU-PF team that was supposed to do these posters, they did not do a good job in terms of putting out the poster. I saw the rally that was held by Experience, which is why he won. He did well. They did a very good rally. I probably should have presented it here, but if you go to gambako.com, you're going to see we shared it already when they did the rally. So Chamisa in Matabeleland has become a very, very big danger in combination with Dr. Khupe, because Dr. Khupe has been working. She has not stopped campaigning for Chamisa ever since she left MDC Alliance of Mwanzora. So the danger here is, in 2018, President Mnangagwa got 107,000 votes. And Chamisa got, I think, 92,000 votes in Matabeleland South. And the difference between these two, if you look at the national difference, most of the difference, or a majority of that difference, came from Matabeleland, where people did not turn out. I remember what I said about Matabeleland. People did not turn out. Bulawayo, people did not turn out. The turnout in Bulawayo was very, very low. If Chamisa had campaigned only in Bulawayo and got the turnout to go above 180,000, he was going to do very, very well. But then people did not turn out. There was a protest vote across Matabeleland. The fact that there was a fight between Chamisa and Dr. Khupe meant that this happened. This protest vote took place, and this staying away. If the combination of Dr. Khupe and Chamisa continues, you could see a higher turnout. You could see a swing of the protest vote. And this is why I say the implication of what has happened, where with a very small turnout, you can already see that ZANU-PF is losing. They lost their election, they sit there. And to put it into context, the original election had, I think, about 7,000 people voting. So this one is 300. There is a lot of work to be done here. And if you look at ZAPU lost very badly. They had like 50 votes. So Chamisa is doing very, very well in this area. He did well in the campaigning. He did well in putting out the issues in front of the people. He did well with the coalition with Dr. Khupe. So if I were the ZANU-PF guy, I'll be back on the drawing board, and I would start with how I connect with people in the communities, because this is likely to become a regional or a provincial issue. You're going to end up with this happening in places like Gwanda. You saw what happened in Gwanda. The turnout there for Chamisa in 2018 was shocking. I think Chamisa had 14,000 votes at one point. That is where he got his biggest numbers. So if he does well in the cities, in Matabeleland South, the same way that he's doing in places like Kariba, places where there are cities, and then he wins these rural Matabeleland provinces where he lost in the last election, it can become a disaster. And this is what I would do if I was the President Mnangagwa campaign manager. I would not take these council elections as a council election. I would take this as a serious problem that is developing. Dr. Khupe is becoming a game changer for CCC, and I don't know how they're going to handle her, where they're going to place her as a leader. She's doing very, very well in here in the CCC. So I want to wrap this up. There's nothing much to say here. The results are there on gambagwe.com. The posters are there on gambagwe.com. You heard my point. ZANU-PF did not campaign well here. The campaign has moved to social media. You saw what happened to Kenya. People are watching little clips on YouTube, on WhatsApp, on their WhatsApp phones, people in the rural areas. People are watching posters on their phones. You don't have to go to a place to pass your message. And ZANU-PF did not see that. That is why Chamisa put those posters with messages, with a correct date, with a location of where the vote is going to take place. When ZANU-PF just put out a poster, a general poster with no information, which is why they could not get their information out to the voters. And I think the people who came and voted for ZANU-PF, they're exactly the same people that came to the rallies. Let's take what 16, Jen Moyo of ZANU-PF had 118 votes. Moyo Makadi of CCC had 131 votes. All ZANU-PF needed to do was to get, let's say, another 15 people. Then they would win. But they didn't. If you go to Ward 14, Experience at 459, Chamisa CCC at 332. That was a gap. And Experience is very young. I also want to bring this point that having a younger candidate is probably going to help. CCC, they deployed very old candidates, but they still did well. Let's go to Ward 1. Ephraim Moore had 385, and Ndlovu K, he had 315. The gaps are very small. This is the ZANU-PF constituents. They should have done better here, but they did not, because of the reasons that I'm giving you here, that they do not understand how to campaign in this place. Dr. Khupe on the ground, doing very well, door to door, and then the CCC communication team sending out their posters with the date, with the location, with the candidate. This is a perfect combination that totally, I think in my view, if they deploy this in 2023, it can become a very, very serious problem for ZANU-PF. Right, so obviously we're going to be analyzing these results. I know that today there's more happening. So I'll probably have a look at this result tomorrow during the day, and then we see how ZANU-PF is doing. ZANU-PF is doing well in terms of the numbers, but they are starting to miss out on the key issues going into 2023. They are not using their structures. ZANU-PF is failing to use their structures, and this is becoming a problem. They need to quickly appoint someone who's going to manage elections, because if they don't do it, what is going to happen can become a very, very big problem that I don't even want to describe here at this particular point. The numbers that we are seeing here and what could happen in a big election, if you project it, it can become a very, very big problem for ZANU-PF. Go back to the results of 2018. If you've got time and look through that spreadsheet of Matabeleland in the South, you'll see what I mean. ZANU-PF should not be getting these numbers. If they have structures on the ground, they should be doing very, very well. But this is not what I expect from a team like ZANU-PF. They should do much better here in terms of managing an election like this, because these are perception issues. The perception that is being created now is going to resonate and reverberate across Matabeleland, and it can become a very, very big problem. Matabeleland is not a place where you play. That is where elections are made. That's where you win your election. So let's see what happens. And I don't know why MDC Alliance is not fielding candidates. This is, it's stunning. You cannot even understand what is happening there. What is Ngonzora exactly doing? Not fielding any candidates. People like Witness Dube, can they not find candidates in Matabeleland? What is happening there? These are big questions that need to be answered, because the implications are massive for ZANU-PF. Because ZANU-PF used to have big names in Matabeleland. It's changing. And if they are pitting people that are not known with these CCC guys who are organized, you can see the way these guys did this election. very, very organized, very, very focused. It was not like a council election. They did it with all the heart. And ZANU-PF came in within the last week. That's when ZANU-PF came in there. And I saw them only in the last minute. So let's wrap this up. Let's see. You want me to bring Pugeni? Pugeni, yesterday we couldn't talk. So we'll talk next week. And then obviously, you see that as we go towards the election, there's going to be some change in the way we approach issues. I want this to be useful. I don't want to just be attacking Chamisa. And I want ZANU-PF guys to understand what we're doing. We're helping them here. If you want to win this election, you need to be analytical. You need to do your scenario planning. You need to know what's going to happen. You need to know why it's happening. You need to know why you lose by a certain margin and why people are not voting, why people are not leaving the houses. And those things will help you in 2023. We have already had in the region a change of the incumbents. We had one right now in Kenya. We had one in Zambia. And it's going very, very well. These things, if you're not careful, they can become a problem. And you could end up with a win turning into a lose. Because that is exactly what I said before. This election is for ZANU-PF to lose. They've got everything. But if they're not careful, it will be like a food getting snatched out of your mouth. That is what can happen here. And you end up with the one guy who's got no structures beating you up to a pulp. And that is not right. So that is why I'm bringing this information. Obviously, I want ZANU-PF to get a better understanding of why these are happening. It's very rare for CCC to win elections. MDC Alliance, I was analyzing MDC Alliance soon after the 2018 elections. They were losing by elections everywhere, especially Matabeleland. This is not a trivial issue that is happening here. It's a big, massive issue. The CCC with Dr. Khupe is becoming a problem in Matabeleland. And this is my key point and the key takeaway for today. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. And obviously, the Kenya election is going to be, election petition is going to be announced tomorrow. So as soon as they announce that, I'm going to come, we're going to give you an update. It's most likely that a recount is going to be ordered in Kenya because the Venezuelans are refusing with the server. So let's talk about that tomorrow and let's see what needs to be done there. How can we improve our own elections in Zimbabwe? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow. And I really appreciate all of you watching here. Good night. And let's see what happens with the results for today. I'll publish them before the end of the morning. Thank you very much.
Anovura meso, anovura nzebe, anokaya marigi. Kama kwetu tikom, kwetu tikom usasai. Kama kwe anokaya marigi.
Kamba kwe uyo, anotara mari, anogaya mari, garai mamunzwa. Paninya pano, zvamunoda kunzwa. Zvinotaurwa pano, madiko kumunzwa mugova ne.com. Kamba kwe vanogaya mari, vanotaura mari, vanosiya mari. Kamba kwe vanotaura fea kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei. Vanomuterere zvikubatsirei, mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei. Mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere. Kamba kwe vanogaya cash, vanopa mafacts, vanotaura straight, vane evidence, vane confidence plus intelligence.
Entertainment, current affairs and news. Kamba kwe